Welcome to the weekly Pacent test video. On this next screen, you're going to see all of the start times of the problems, so you can just fast forward to the problems that you want to look at. All right, here we come with this week's video.
All right, this is the week 17 test. We're going to take a quick look at it. Remember, you can use this test not only to check your work on week 17, but it's a good study guide for week 18 and week 19. Both of those weeks will have a 17-1 question on them. So let's scroll this down so we can see the whole question and we'll get started. This is expressions equivalency application. Applications always mean we're going to be using what we have been learning. So we're going to be applying it somehow. In this case, we're applying how you find first expressions that match the wording of a story. In this case, the story of Katie and Bill and the models they're making for science class. And secondly, how you take that information, take that expression, and use it to answer a question. In this case, it's part 2 of this problem, who's going to paint the most blue? So we can see that the information is given to us initially in percentage form. So we have this statement right here. Katie has a model that's 280 square centimeters, and she's going to make 60% of it blue. We're going to take that 60%, we're going to change it to a decimal. We've talked a lot about changing percents to decimals. If you have 60% and you want to change it into a decimal, you figure that decimal point is at the end to start with, right there. And to change it to a decimal, we divide by 100. It's the opposite of changing the decimal to a percent, where we multiply by 100, put in a percent sign. In this case, we divide by 100. We can see that once we do that, we get 0.60, or even simpler, 0.6, because that 0 right there, this 0, and this 0, not a placeholder. Don't need to have it. So we have 0.6, and that is equal to 6/10, and that is equal to 3/5. When I wrote it on the answer key up at the top here, up in this section, when I wrote it as 0.60 because that's what a lot of students do, and I wanted to show them that the same thing happens. 60 over 100, 3 over 5. The second part, Bill's part of this model, he has 280 square centimeters. He's going to make 75% of it blue. Same idea. 0.75, 75 over 100, 3/4. Now we're ready to answer question 1. Which of these expressions matches those stories, that story problem? Well, we can see that in A we have 0.6 with the 280, 0.6. We have 0.75 with the 200. That works. B also works. 3/5. That's the fraction for 60% with the 280. 3/4 with the 200. Remember, these are both difference problems. C does not work. 3/4 with the 280, not correct. D does not work. That would have to be either 0.60 or 60%, but it doesn't work 60 times 280. So now we know that A and B are the correct answers for number 1. To answer number 2, who will paint the most, you'll notice I chose to use this one, the one that was already in decimal form. 0.6 times 280, 168 centimeters squared. 0.75 times 200, 150 centimeters squared. And the difference is 18 squared centimeters. And here's our final answer. Who painted the most blue? Katie. How much more? 18 square centimeters. So that is your problem number 1. Problem number 2. Here's our work for number 2. Alex placed $1,200 in a savings account. That's the principal. 3% interest, 0.03 for 4 years. We talked about the fact that it's principal times interest times time. That gives us $36 for each year. In case you wonder, that is the each year amount times 4 years, 144 in interest. take his principal, add it to his interest, and this is what he has. This is his total in savings, total principal and interest. Now it says at the end of the 4 years, he takes it out and he puts it in this thing called the Marks Fund. It pays 4.5%, so 0.045 over the year. When you see the year, that's 1 year. So we take his total in savings, the $1,344, multiply it by 0.045 times 1, gives us $60.48. There's the principal he started with. Remember, the principal restarts when he moved it from savings to Marks Fund. So principal, $1,344, plus the $60.48. He ends up with a total of $1,404.48. On to problem number 4. Problem number 4. We're doing percents now, discounts, markups, and taxes. Madison bought a phone, 20% off, so 0.2. Paid 8% tax, 0.08. How much did she pay for the phone after the discount and the tax? So here's the regular price of the phone, $180. 0.2 is the percent off, 20%. She saved 36. Savings, always a subtraction, so we have the 180. Take away the savings, 144. That's the sale price. Bring it up. We have the tax to pay. We're paying 8% tax. So we calculate the tax rate on the 144. We get $11.52. That's the tax. Tax is always added in. That's why people don't like paying it, because it adds to their bill. So we add the tax. The 144 is the sale price. Tax was $11.52. We end up with $155.52 as the final cost of the phone. And there's the bonus problem, Jason and the coat. You can look that one over. It was 20% off, and then off the 50% discounted price, you can see what Jason paid for that coat, $34. All right, so use this. Help yourself to study for the future tests. Also use it if you decide to come back and do intervention problems for Concept 17. It is the early concept in the third trimester, so this would be a good thing for you to work on. Make sure that third trimester starts out strong and stays strong. As always, if you have questions, bring them to class.